What's up YouTube, my name is Birdman778 and welcome to another Devastator build video. Today I'm talking about my Endless Mass build. This is going to be a great one for leveling up and eventually evolving into a much more powerful build. The build I'm showing off is going to be a lot more powerful, but I'm going to give suggestions on what you can use to further level. But before we get into the video, I want to let you know I am more than likely streaming over on Twitch right now, twitch.tv/Birdman778. I stream every single day starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so stop on by, check out these awesome builds. We're memeing, doing some fun things. I'm probably going to be working on a melee build tomorrow, so I don't know. Stop on by, check it out. And also find me on YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok at Birdman778. Let's get into the video. So like I said before, this is going to be kind of a build that starts at a certain level 1, and we're going to move our way up to what I am going to show you at this moment. First, I'll show you what I have for more of the end game. I've been able to do CT15 expos with this. It's been going very smoothly, very easy. Only time I really die is when something memey happens where, I don't know, I get double hit and for some reason all my health goes away, something like that. That's some issues with the game right now I've been having. Where I'll lag and my character won't activate their abilities or anything like that, and I just die. I probably had a couple screaming moments with that. What? All right, Kurt. Oh my god. But for the most part, this build is able to push to the limit, whether it's a beast fight, whether it's a human fight, doesn't matter, it can do it. First off, when it comes to weapons, we are using the Damascus offering. Its perks are Claymore Turret. Shots damage 4 enemies within a 6-meter radius with anomaly blades, dealing 98,000 damage, and has a 4-second cooldown. This is really great because it's going to connect nearby enemies and do a lot of damage to them, especially anomaly power. This build is built into anomaly, as well as, I mentioned we're using Endless Mass, so this is going to really benefit with it. We're also using Shadow Comment on it. Shots called down and comment, dealing 210,000 damage to enemies with a 3.5 meter radius and has a 3-second cooldown. Throughout the recording of this video, I really wasn't able to show this off. This was more of an off stream. Used it, was trying something else out, seeing if it was working. But for the most part, the one weapon on this build that matters is that Molten Idola. I still don't know how to say it. Idola? Is that right? I don't know. Who cares? Anyway. This weapon is super great because first off, it is a one-shot variant rifle. If you checked out my grenade launcher build, this is the same gun that I was using there. It's way too effective. Partially because of that Ravenous Locust tier 3 mod. Shots create a swarm of locusts, dealing 258,000 damage over 10 seconds and inflicting weakness to enemies remaining within a 6-meter radius of the target. It has an 8-second cooldown. This is obviously great because we're going to more focus this towards those big boss enemies. They're going to be taking damage over time. Weakness is going to be inflicted around them. And also a couple other abilities that we're going to combo with it is going to make sure that this is going to do up-teens amount of damage. I've been able to record up to 6 million damage off stream. I hate myself because I don't record all the time. I'm just going to start recording all the time so I can find these things. But I have hit upwards of 6 million damage on a critical headshot with this gun. Now, obviously, you can use something like the Juggler as well to get that Scrap Grenade mod, but the big benefit of using the Idola is the fact that, one, again, we're getting that Ravenous Locust and also that crit multiplier of 200%. When it comes to armor, we're kind of doing a mix of 2 different sets here, but the lesser set is more just for the perks that they have. First off, we're using the Marshal's Helmet. This one has anomaly power, cooldown reduction, and skill life leech. And the 2 perks are a tier 3 mod, Wide Horizons. Endless Mass increases skills radius by 25%. This is actually big because the Endless Mass has kind of a garbage range on it, on its base level. If you're able to increase your range, that is a good idea, and you can do it with this perk. And then the other one is Bleed Them All, Endless Mass. Inflict bleed on all enemies pulled by this skill. This is partially a bleed build as well, so we want to make sure whenever we're using this ability, we're making sure that all the enemies are inflicted with bleed. This can be great for those sticky situations. Your health's about to go down. You have this, you activate it on somebody, and everyone's inflicted with bleed, and then suddenly your health bar just skyrockets up. So, very effective. Next, we're going to be using the Marshal's Armor. This one has anomaly power, cooldown reduction, and skill life leech. Its tier 3 mod is High Intensity. Endless Mass. Anomaly damage against afflicted targets is increased by 33% for 5 seconds. Now, this one is perfect. It's amazing. I love it so much because we're going to be able to stack it with another ability that we're going to talk about here a little bit later. But regardless, this is something that's going to help increase our anomaly power. That is our melee, our skills. the Idola, the scrap grenade mod it does, it's going to boost that. So you're going to be doing a lot of damage. You're going to be noticing in some of the clips and stuff, I'm going to be grabbing all the enemies into a certain area, and I'll just shoot one at the ground, and they're all dead. Why? Because they're taking a shit ton of damage from the Idola. It's amazing. I love this mod. It's great. And then the other mod on that is Human Combat. Increases skills damage by 29,000 damage. So this is just great because obviously our gravity leap is going to have more damage. There's going to be times where we might be in a sticky situation. We need to fly up. We need to pick a target, hit them. They might be weak. We'll get the kill. We'll get some healing, or just do damage in general. I mean, just in a wide variety of an area. Regardless, another perk in our skill tree is going to benefit from that as well. For our pants mod, we're using the Seismic Commander leg armor. This one has anomaly power, status power, and cooldown reduction. Its tier 3 mod is Tainted Blood. Increase damage dealt by enemies afflicted with bleed by 25%. Obviously, all the enemies that we have on the battlefield, we're attempting to inflict with bleed because it's going to heal us, but also we're going to be able to do more damage to them. Again, Devastator doesn't have the cool pay-to-win rounds to just kill everything instantly and crutch off of. We need anything that we can to help further that damage, and this is going to help because it's also going to stack on top of the set armor piece that we have here, since we have the gloves, the boots, and the pants all together. Increase damage towards enemies with bleed by 50%. Obviously, more damage, better off you are. And the second mod that we have here is Double Jump Gravity Leap. Skill can be used twice before triggering the cooldown. This is actually a tier 3 mod off of the gloves off the Marshall set, but we dismantled those and just put it on here because honestly, this and another Gravity Leap mod that actually we have a video talking about that. Definitely check it out because it's going to be really kind of cool to kind of talk about this other mod, but we'll talk about it here in a second. But they combo each other really well, especially because we're going to be boosting anomaly damage off of this other skill. Let's just get to it whenever we get to it. Next is our Seismic Commander gloves. This one has max health, status power, and skill life leech. Our tier 3 mod is Asunder Earthquake. Using the skill permanently reduces the armor of afflicted enemies by 20%. Now, for those who aren't sure or aren't familiar with the armor, armor decreases enemies' physical damage against you. The decrease is displayed in the physical damage reduction statistic, and that physical damage reduction is 70%. Now, obviously, this is going to help strip it down so they're easier to take damage. Essentially, it's just making it easier for us to do damage. And the second perk that we have on there is Bloodshot. Earthquake inflicts bleed on enemies damaged by this skill. Now, we could put on a different skill to help kind of further any damage, do like some extra armor, something like that. But I think this is kind of important because we're able to consistently make sure all the enemies on the battlefield are bled, and we can do more damage to them because of that. Also, the Earthquake resets really fast so we can make sure that one, we're able to inflict bleed on them and also just do extra damage with the next Earthquake that we use. And we get that extra Earthquake from the Seismic Commander foot gear. Now, first off, this has max health, status power, and skill life leech, and that second Quake is going to give you that extra use of Earthquake before it needs to cool down. Now, that perk that I was talking about that perfectly goes with Double Jump is Despair. Gravity Leap. Enemies within a damage radius of Gravity Leap will receive a 1.5 times more anomaly damage for 5 seconds. This is gigantic. This is huge. This is probably the best mod for Devastator, period. Don't care what you say, it is. Because this is going to not only help you, but also your friends as well. I have done plenty of runs with Chadley99. Go check him out, twitch.tv/Chadley99. He's also on YouTube. He makes much better videos than I do, but luckily I have him as a friend to do some cool things like this with. But Despair, it's going to help you out as well because, again, this build is focused in Anomaly, so we're able to do plenty of damage against our enemies. Skill-wise, we're using Earthquake, Endless Mass, and Gravity Leap. Earthquake for that just great, fast cooldown, extra damage to enemies, inflicting bleed. Endless Mass pulls in all the enemies, debuffs them, we're able to do extra damage to them. And then Gravity Leap for moving across the battlefield, damage, and also inflicting that despair. When it comes to our skill tree, obviously we're going to be going to all of these anomaly reservoirs across the bottom tree. This is going to give us upwards of 30% extra anomaly damage. This is just really important, I think, right now for Devastator. I've seen some other people do builds for like the middle tree and the top tree, but I just feel like they're crutched on different random things, or they're just not really able to go up to that CT15 like this build can do. So I think this is probably the best tree for it, and because of Anomaly. Next, we're going to go into our Endless Tremor. Seismic skills cooldown is reduced by 15%. We have one here and here. This is obviously just great because we're able to make sure that Earthquake is constantly being rotated. We're able to constantly activate it. That's great not only for damage, but also for another perk that we have here in our tree. I'll explain down the road here. Next, we're going to go into that Pure Anomaly. Increase your resistance piercing by 15%. There's two of them here. We're going to go one here and one here. Get them both. If you're going to go in the bottom tree, you have to get this Pure Anomaly. This is going to help you pierce through those resistances that enemies have. With Anomaly, whatever it may be, you want to do more damage to them because of these skills. We're going to put that one into Perpetual Motion, reduce kinetic skills by 15%. This is going to affect both our Endless Mass and our Gravity Leap, so we're able to constantly make sure that those are staying up to be used. We're going to go into Executioner, increase damage by 20% against enemies below 30%. Now, at first, I was a little apprehensive of this. I was like, is this really worth it? We're killing them so fast. Does it really matter? Well, yeah, it kind of does. Like, honestly, this is very helpful because especially with enemies that are being inflicted with bleed long enough, they might hit that certain percentile, and then we're able to just do more damage on top of the damage we're already doing. And it's just nice, again, for whenever enemies get sucked into that Endless Mass, we're able to get that one shot. We're going to make sure that if they don't get hit, they don't die with that first shot, they're going to get killed by the second one. We're going to go into Anomaly Bullets, increase firepower by 15% of your Anomaly power. This is just going to increase our damage output with our weapons. Just great overall. Stone Circle, extend the distance considered to be close range by an additional 4 meters, because that's going to really synergize with Through the Mob, increase your armor by 77% for each enemy in close range. I am definitely a Devastator where I want to be in the thick of things. I don't want to have to sit behind cover. I don't want to sit back. I want to be near everything. And because of that, I'm able to get consistent armor because of this ability. We have this one in Rejuvenation right here. Increase your skill leech by 6%. This is obviously just going to help whenever we use something like Gravity Leap. Actually, any of our abilities. It's going to, whenever someone's inflicted by them, they take damage, we're going to get health for that. Bloodbath. Bleed inflicted on enemies deals 30% more damage. We have one here and here. Obviously, more damage to bleed inflicted enemies is always great, but it's also going to help synergize really well with Blood Donation. You are healed for 25% of the bleed damage. Now, again, this is going to do most of the healing for us, while another skill that I'm going to talk about here in a second is going to do a lot of the bulky, actual tank-style gameplay for us. Protected by the Anomaly, increase your armor bonus by 40% of your Anomaly power. Obviously, we have high Anomaly right now, so it's more armor, and that's really going to synergize well with this ability. Skilled Sentry, increase armor by 20% and resistances by 20% for 10 seconds when your skill ends. This is like my favorite skill, I think. I love this skill because, again, we're constantly using things like Earthquake, Gravity Leap, Endless Mass, things that are very fast, constant rotations. So we're constantly making sure our armor is staying up. We have resistances. We are being the tank. And then again, we are doing bleeding damage to enemies. Our health is going up. We are staying in a really solid spot. You are able to do these CT15 gold solo expeditions because of these skills. Now, I mentioned before, how can you go from kind of level 1, not having a lot of those tier 3 mods, how can you take advantage of all the things I was doing with this build, this kind of the skeleton of it? Well, I would say Endless Mass tier 1 abilities are actually really solid. One of them, Endless Mass, increase weapon damage against affected enemies by 20% for 10 seconds. This is obviously great because it's going to suck all those enemies in, and anyone who's affected by it is just going to take more damage. You can use those scrap grenades. It's going to do a lot to them from that as well. We have Endless Mass, increase skills damage by 96,000. This will be great because whenever they get sucked in, they take initial damage from that. So this is kind of okay, but I would say the next two are the more important ones. Inflict vulnerable on enemies pulled by the skill. Vulnerable recently got a nerf to it. It went from like 30% like effective to 15%. That kind of sucks, but at the same time, this is more damage. I mean, this is something, you know? It's like, you can't complain. You at least got this to kind of go off of. And then finally, we kind of already had this on our build, the inflicting bleeds on enemies. Once you hit level 30, you're going to be able to go through that whole tree, and this will be a great skill to help synergize with it. When it comes to like our tier 1 earthquake mods, we have the inflicting bleed ability. We have the extra uses. I'm using the tier 3 one on one of my pieces of gear, but you obviously have a tier 1 here one as well that you can use. We have earthquake increase at base damage. We have earthquake when enemies are killed by the skill, restore 25% of max health for all allies for 20 meters around you. This is kind of okay. I mean, it's obviously going to heal you, do really well, but you might as well go to like skill life leech. But at the same time, if you're really struggling on getting your health back up and you know your earthquake's killing things, this will be worth it. Armor boost grant you 4,972 points of armor for each enemy afflicted by the skill. Effect lasts for 8 seconds. This is really great actually, because this will help you kind of mitigate having to use that skilled sentry ability, because you're going to be constantly activating this and constantly having lots of armor. Again, Earthquake isn't going to be really a one-on-one use kind of skill. It's for a wide variety, so you can really take advantage of this. And it will actually synergize real well with this ability, increase the skill's range by 60%. I actually learned from the homie Rounded Tic Tac. Check him out here on YouTube, youtube.com/Rounded Tic Tac. This will actually synergize off of that, our ability to increase our range of what's considered close. So this is actually really nice for it. And then finally, damaging enemies with the skill steals 33% of their armor. Effect lasts for 5 seconds. We do this, we're able to kind of do a little bit more physical damage to enemies. Really solid. And then for Gravity Leap, we have the increased damage mod, we have the inflict bleed mod, and then we have heal. Now this one's probably the biggest one of the three. 15% of damage dealt if the target dies, deals heal for 30%. That 15 will almost always completely fill you up. 30%, awesome, great, we love to see it, but that will more likely do it for you right then and there. The only time it's not really going to do much is if like an enemy's like got barely any health and they're singled out and there are all these enemies over here and you hit them, you're more likely not going to get a whole lot. You might as well go for the bigger group, then go back for the other person. But life absorption is a good skill. Thank you so much for stopping by this video. I'm really glad it's actually able to make a really cool endless mass build. At first I kind of resented the ability because I was like, oh my gosh, I don't get anomaly rounds. It really sucks that I get this like weird rock pet thing that does a lot of damage. But then I was like, oh shit, this is a lot of damage. So it's actually a really good ability, and it synergizes well with Earthquake and Gravity Leap. And then we have all the other like weapon mods and stuff that can really work well with it. So overall, I'm really happy with this build. It is something I am going to use in co-op because we still have that despair to help out our teammates, but also being able to do more anomaly damage and that help out our teammates is really cool. But regardless, make sure to check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Perman778. Again, I stream every single day starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, check out me on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. Guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Have a great night, day, whatever it may be.